My final words for 2024. It's over. It's in the past. It's time to look forward. It's time to live forward. All right? So let's talk about some things that I did learn in 2024. I want to talk about what things that didn't change that maybe they should have, but also I want to look at the things that did change. I'm a big believer in self-talk and proper, positive self-talk, constructive self-talk. So if you only focus on the areas in which you fall short, those are the things that you'll end up manifesting, right? You have to give yourself a fighting chance. So the greatest baseball players on planet Earth, whether they are or not, believe that they're the best player on earth. That belief in yourself is the foundation in which everything else happens, right? So you're never going to outlive your own self-image. You're never going to outperform your own self-image. So how do you actually view yourself? As a winner? A loser? Average? Do you even know? Some of these things are the most important pieces to figure out how change has to happen, how change will happen, right? So when I look back at 2024, I'll be the first to tell you, I had more in the tank. I could have gave more. I could have did more. I could have became more. I could have served more. I could have believed more. My faith could have been stronger. But that's okay. Let's just take a moment and reflect. And more importantly, I'm going to forgive myself for all that right here in front of you, right now. And that's a challenge for me. Because as a competitive person, sometimes I might dwell on the things that I fell short of. So, and if you see me writing down some stuff here, I've got notes for days. And again, this is a little bit of a brain dump, right? But at the end of the day, what I'm telling you guys is I'm working on becoming more aware of what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, who I'm doing it with. And in a plane ride back from a business trip just a few weeks ago, I got to have a conversation with a buddy of mine who's actually helping produce this episode today. He's behind the camera, named Antoine Robinson. And we had one of the most powerful conversations I had in the entire year of 2024. And two things came from that conversation that I'm leaning on in 2025. One, it was to roll the tape. To roll the tape. You want to see how I did it? Roll the tape. As an athlete, game film was extremely important, right? So I want you guys to start being aware of what it is that you're doing so that when you do great things, when you have success in your life, you can use that success. You can roll that tape. You can play it back. You can use it to grow. And the other thing is I'm going to ask you guys to fill in a blank at the end of this episode. All right, what blank are you filling in? Well, blank like this. Build like this. Grow like this. Serve like this. Love like this. What is it that you're going to focus on in 2025 to fill in your blank? So here's what I'm going to focus on. I told you guys I learned to be more aware. All right. I heard a very powerful statement, and it's actually mentioned in the Bible multiple times. I believe that the most powerful two words in the English language are I am. And whatever words you follow that with is your truth. In the South, here in Nashville at least, most common used greeting to say hello is, how are you doing? How are you doing? Most common response, good. Good. How many times did you get asked, how are you doing over the course of 2024? And how many times did you just affirm that you're only good? Unstoppable is the word that I like to use. If you ask my 3-year-old daughter, Ansley, how you doing? She will say, I am unstoppable. Folks, I've said it so many times now, thanks to all you saying hello, that I believe it. It's a core belief. And it's every action that I take, that's the foundation in which I'm moving forward. I'm unstoppable. I'm unstoppable. Right? So I became more aware of little things like that. I became more aware of all the little things that I do on a day in and day out basis that are a chance to grow a win, a chance to be excellent at something that's incredibly simple. But when you do things at an excellent or elite level over and over and over again, that becomes your new standard. The running joke at my house is like when I back my Jeep into the driveway, I park in the exact same spot every single time. When I get asked, why do I do that? Like literally, if I back in the driveway and I'm a foot or two off from my marks, I'm going to pull up and do it again. Why? Because that is a random opportunity to do something at an elite level. And when you do something at an elite level, or you do things at an elite level over and over and over and over again, folks, you build momentum. Everything that you're doing is compounding, just like your investments compound. It took me years to build my first 7-figure business. And now we can churn them out multiple times a year, or even 8 or 9-figure businesses. Why? Because the knowledge has compounded. All those thoughts, all those times I told myself I'm unstoppable, they have compounded and grown in value to a place where now I believe it, and it becomes who I am and what I do. I became aware of the other 3 people in my household. A pastor told me once, Nick, it's great to grow, but you can't outgrow the people in your circle. I was like, well, what does that mean? You can't outgrow your people. You can't leave them behind. I don't actually believe people grow apart. I believe some people outgrow others. So as I'm challenging myself to grow leaps and bounds, it's very important that the people in my charge, the people that I'm in charge of, the people that are my biggest fan base and support base, my family, it's important that they're growing in the same direction and very closely to the same pace that I'm growing. Ask yourself just for a minute. When you grow, are you leaving people behind or are you taking them with you? How aware are you of these things, right? And when I was looking back, planning this episode, and about me being aware, I came down to basically 3 different sources that I needed to be more aware of. Number 1 was my thoughts. I realized that I really wasn't that aware of my own thoughts. I wasn't in control of my own mind. And I can promise you, the greatest competitor you have that you will face in 2025 is yourself, your own mind. If you can't win the war against your own thoughts, you will lose every war that you go out and face. I promise you that. So my thoughts were 1. Number 2 was my time. I have the pleasure of being around some folks that are way ahead of their journey than I am right now as we sit today. They've accomplished some great things. They're not better than me. They're just ahead of me. But the one thing that they all are incredibly disciplined and successful at, the one thing that they manage better than 99% of the other people is their time. And they ask me that question often, Nick, what do you do? And I would answer. And then they would say, and where do you spend your time? And I noticed that what I do, what I was planning to do, and then how I spent my time, they weren't moving in the same direction at the same speed. They weren't correlated at all, actually. So I started becoming more and more aware of the time that I spent, because we all get the same 24 hours. We all get the same 24 hours. So when you get that 24 hours, how are you spending it or are you investing it? Right? So becoming aware of, am I spending time or investing time? And is there balance there, right, to grow? And the third thing was the people. The people. If you're not around people that inspire you, you need to find them and you need to get around them. You need to be around people that you inspire, and you need to have some balance. And you need to be around people that inspire you. You need both. Why? Because when people inspire you, it's the people that you inspire that you get to live out that inspiration, that you get to take action, that you get to get better at practicing what it was that inspired you and giving it into and pouring it into others. That's the key. That's the key. Who you are has nothing to do with what you do, but it's what you do for everybody else. That is who you are. Right? And if you say, no, what I'm doing for others isn't who I am, they're not in alignment. Cool. You're now aware. Now you can fix it. Now you can take responsibility and fix it. One of the things that my wife and I constantly are relearning is when we fall short sometimes, we will sit there and fight or defend our losses. And I was having a conversation with a buddy the other day, and he was telling me all the reasons why he can't do certain things. And he was almost arguing with me over these things. And I'm like, dude, why are you arguing for your shortcomings? Like, why are you defending them if they're not okay? Right? So like, again, there's one of my favorite books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. There's one core principle that he talks about in the beginning of that book that changed his whole entire mindset, his paradigm. And that was, instead of saying the word I can't, replace the words I can't with how can I? Now you're no longer making a statement of something that you can't do. You're asking a question of how you can do it. And that is the first step in all growth. You got to know where you're going so that you can figure out how to get there. I mean, isn't that how your GPS works? It only works if you tell it where you're going, and it tells you all the possible routes to go to get there, as well as how long it's going to take. And then when things come up, when life happens, it'll even say, hey, here's some other routes that you can take with a new arrival time. All of us use a GPS, right? So it's in the palm of our hand. How can we apply that knowledge and that tool into our own lives, right? So what I've decided, folks, is that I've decided to freaking level up, man. I've been talking about it for a long time, and I'm going to level up. I'm going to level up professionally. I'm going to level up at home. I'm going to level up as a husband, as a father, but most importantly, as a Christian man. I'm going to level up. Now, what does that mean? Well, I told you guys, my family has to grow with me. I can't leave them behind. That's the first thing, right? And I look back at 3 things in 2024. The time that I spent, the people that I spent it with, and the money that I made to support or grow the time with the people that mean most to me. For me, that's what the money's for. It's a tool to create more time and to serve the people that are that are in my charge or that I'm leading. My family, my coworkers, my work fam, my friends, the people that mean most to me, and some strangers that need it most. Right? So when I look at my time my people, and my money, I got to ask a couple questions. Because first of all, 2024 was a building year. I identified that early. It was a year of expansion. 2025 is the year of execution. And if you follow along with me for the next few weeks, you're going to see what execution looks like.